and welcome to today's episode of Cooking Out and About. I'm Nancy Marie. Today we're going to be doing something a little bit different. I'm not going to be doing any of the cooking. We're here today with Joanne Weir, and she is author of Summer, let me look at the book again, a recipes inspired by nature's bounty. So Joanne, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself? Before the show, you were telling us that you were actually raised in Boston, or in Massachusetts, and that your grandmother, or great-grandmother rather, actually owned a restaurant in Boston many years ago. So do you think, why don't you just tell us a little bit about that?
Well, actually, I'm a fourth-generation professional cook, and I grew up in New England, and way back, I mean, we love food. My mother's a professional cook. My grandfather also was. He had a farm in the Berkshires, and he used to have people come from New York, and they'd stay on the farm, and he'd cook for them. And then my great-grandmother had a restaurant in Boston at the turn of the century called Pilgrim's Pantry. And I guess, you know, they served all those great New England foods like the fritters and, you know, oysters. And anyway, so yes, I live, breathe, think food, and so does everybody in my whole family.
So then cooking definitely runs in the family, you would say.
Yes, definitely.
Excellent.
My brother and sister also studied cooking. There's 4 of us, and yes,
Are there any, like, now grandchildren or, like, nieces and nephews? Do you have any that are interested in cooking?
Well, you know, it's funny because my niece, who is just the star for me, she's absolutely wonderful, but she was, recently they did a talent show at her school. I love this story. And when they did the talent show, she said, well, I definitely want to do a cooking demo. So she was 9 years old. She did a cooking demonstration, picked up a glass at the end, had water in it, not wine, and said, bon appetit, like Julia does. But anyway, she's really a doll. And I thought, that is incredible. So definitely it runs in the family.
Wow.
We probably have many more generations to come.
Now, you were telling us also before that you teach all around the world, as well as, you know, writing cookbooks, and that you just received the Julia Child Award for cooking teaching excellence.
Yes.
Tell us about how that came about, or is it a nominated thing?
Yes, it is. It's through the International Association of Culinary Professionals, and I travel and teach all over the world, and this is the first time they've ever given the award.
Wow.
And so I won the inaugural award. It was an international award, and they chose one teacher, and when they said my name, I was just really shocked.
Yeah,
I mean, I thought you had to be a lot older to get those awards, but anyway, it was pretty interesting. It's wonderful. Real compliment.
This book, I was looking through it, and it's just beautiful. I love the pictures.
Yeah.
You know, they just jump right out at you, and just, you know, like, I want to eat that.
I
know. It looks so good.
They really are. You know, what I did when I thought about the summer book was I really wanted recipes that were simple.
Yeah, I found that.
But
most of them are really...
But still very modern food, but things that people can actually make, and it doesn't take hours in the kitchen, and you don't have to shop at 30 or 40 stores. I shouldn't say that, 5 or 6 stores. Instead, you can find everything in your grocery store. So they're really pretty easy. I mean, it is true. All the photos are beautiful. Panina, the photographer from San Francisco, did the series, and it's beautiful. I did all of them, spring, summer, autumn, and winter. Spring and summer are the only ones out now. Autumn is just coming out in the next few days, and then winter will be after that. So the whole series.
Right, and I like that how, you know, again with the pictures, because a lot of cookbooks don't have a picture of every other one, and you're like, well, how do I know if it's gonna? How do I know if it looks right?
I know. I think it's true. In this book, the pictures really are. They really make you want to cook. You know, I think that summer has such a special place for everybody. We all remember we all wait with anticipation for those tomatoes, and we go out and we pick that first tomato from the vine that's still warm from the sunshine. And I just think there's something about the corn and the peppers and the eggplants and the cucumbers. So it really is a great time that you kind of anticipate every single one of the ingredients. Not to mention the peaches, the nectarines, the melons.
Definitely. I know when I was younger, we planted a peach tree. Never amounted to anything. But
Did you ever get any peaches?
No, we moved before we ever did. But you mentioned cucumbers, and I know you were going to show us a cucumber soup.
That's right.
This summer.
Well, you know, this one's great because it's inspired from Greece, actually. In Greece, they make a dish called tzatziki. Sounds like a big mouthful. It is. But anyway, it's a soup that's made with garlic and cucumbers. And so I'm going to make that. What I've done, it's actually a paste that they make, and they serve it with pita bread. I'm going to add a little milk and make a cold soup that's great served in the summer. This is easy.
And this requires no cooking?
no cooking. So
that's perfect
keeps you out of
for
the kitchen.
Right, perfect for the summertime.
And it's a great make ahead too. So you can get it
Okay.
done a few hours ahead, put it in your refrigerator. When you're ready to serve it, just take it
Right,
out.
okay.
Now, this is about the hardest part you've got here.
Okay.
What I have is a bowl right here with a strainer, and I line this with either cheesecloth or just paper towels. You can just use regular paper towels. And then I just put plain yogurt. Do not use raspberry or strawberry yogurt. You want to use
kind of
plain
an odd
yogurt.
mix with cucumbers.
Yeah, it doesn't really work. So you just want to take this and you drain it for about 4 hours, and you end up with this mixture, which is really just your yogurt that's just drained. So you can see it's nice and thick. And you're getting rid of all of this liquid from the yogurt.
Right.
And what you're doing is getting rid of the liquid, which is actually the water, and then you're adding milk instead to that. So the next thing that I do is just
And I'm sorry,
add
how long did you say that takes about?
about 4 hours.
Okay.
It's fine. You can, if you want to do it overnight, it's fine too. Just leave it in your refrigerator. So I just add a little bit of milk to this, and either with a whisk or also with just a fork, I just mix this together. And I'm just taking that yogurt, combining it with the milk, and not all of the milk yet, but I'm just softening the yogurt just to start. Otherwise, it's a little bit hard when you've got everything mixed together.
Right.
So you just kind of continue to stir this. If you have a whisk, it'll be a lot faster. I'm just using a fork, so either one is actually fine. And now that that's done, you add the rest of the milk.
About how much milk are you using?
2 cups.
2 cups?
Yes.
And what about for the yogurt?
And then I started with 2 cups of
2 cups of
yogurt. And then I just mix this again, so it's just completely mixed. Now the next thing that I do is add the cucumber. Now summer is the time that you don't want to use the waxed cucumbers. This is the time of year we've got the nice fresh cucumbers, so it's nice to either use one of the hothouse cucumbers or also one of the, you can even use those small pickling cucumbers.
Okay.
So this is a hothouse cucumber that always comes wrapped in plastic like this. What I do with this is just to take it, cut it in half like this, and well, actually I peel it first. I'm just going to show you how to scoop the seeds. So I would peel it first, and then what you can do is just to, you see that this, the reason these are used is because they have smaller seeds and not as much liquid to them.
Okay.
So they're great. I'm using a small spoon, and I just scrape out all the seeds like this. You can see that is pretty
simple.
easy, like that. And then once you've done that, you can just use a grater, and you just grate in, to remove the seeds.
Okay.
So that's it. And then what you have next is you get to the, you have a bowl of these cucumbers right here. These are just the grated cucumbers.
Okay.
You can add that to it, as well as you also want to add to it also a little bit of, this is fresh chopped dill, which has such a nice flavor. This is the time in summer when you get all the great herbs.
And where can you find out something like fresh dill? Is that something you find in your regular supermarket?
Yeah, supermarket or also even the farmer's market, either one. This is just some chopped mint, so I'm adding that as well. And then a little bit of chopped garlic.
Okay.
Of course, you have to have garlic.
Right, definitely.
Do you like garlic?
Oh, love it.
Love it,
I'm
me too.
Italian, so.
Oh, well, you have, that goes without saying. I have a little bit of white wine vinegar or lemon juice, either one. So I'm adding that. And then a little bit of olive oil. I'm using extra virgin olive oil. You could actually get away with not even using any of the oil, and you'd have a pretty low-fat dish. By the way, I didn't mention you could use low-fat yogurt if you wanted to, and low-fat milk and make a really low-fat soup.
That'd be good for, especially in the summertime, everyone.
I know, we're all thinking about bathing
suit figures.
It's true. But I always say to people that, you know, in this book, without saying it, I really tried to do a book that really is lower in fat. And if you mention that, it changes the whole kind of direction of the book. But I tried to keep it that way. And then all you do now is just to stir this together, add a little bit of salt, and also a little bit of pepper. And this is done. That's
Wow,
it. So I
that's
just put that in the refrigerator and serve it in bowls.
So really the longest then is just the yogurt straining.
Absolutely. And if you just get that done ahead of time, you really don't even have to, you know, think about it. You just kind of combine everything. You can see how pretty it looks. I'll ladle it a little bit into this bowl so you can see what this looks like, how I garnish it.
Let me see, do you have any particular kind of crackers you like to serve with it?
These are just some sesame lavash, which is really nice, but you could just serve it with a baguette, or it really doesn't matter, but it's nice. I mean, I think what's great about this dish is, you know, you have some crackers, you'd make maybe a salad, even the tomato salad, and you have a meal, and in summer it's so hot, you don't really want to have too much. So what I'm doing is just taking a few slices of the cucumber, putting those over the top, and then a little bit of dill like that, and you've got the finished soup. So you can see it's easy. Would you like to taste it?
Sure, let me
Here's
a little taste.
Spoon for you.
Thank you.
See if you like it. I'll stand there patiently seeing if you like it.
That's good.
It is good,
It
isn't
is.
it?
It's very
really nice. And really refreshing. I think
Yeah, especially in the summer.
Yes, I tried to keep it so all the dishes were things that you wanted to eat in summer, not things that you feel full. And some of the other dishes that I have that work really well, one of the dishes I'm thinking about was I did a lot of things on the grill. And instead of the traditional burger that you do, you know, like a hamburger, I did a tuna burger, a fresh tuna burger, and did it with a ginger and mustard mayonnaise. And that's really good.
Right.
I also did a grilled flank steak with a gorgonzola butter. Lots of things to keep you outside and not keep you inside in the kitchen.
Definitely, yes.
Yes.
Now, what about for desserts? I used to see we have a little fruit cup type.
Yes.
What else can you
one thing that I did was a plum shortcake in the book, which is really nice. And I did quite a few different desserts, which I love. But this one is another one that's so easy. All I did for this is just a fresh fruit compote, and really melons with spiced wine in the book. And what I do is take Crenshaw melon, I take, you can use cassava, you could use honeydew, you can use cantaloupe. Of course, this is the cantaloupe and this is the honeydew, and I can see there's Crenshaw. We also threw a few blueberries in just for color, but you don't have to do that.
Right.
You could just use just the melons, and those look beautiful. What I did was to take a dessert wine like a late harvest wine or a sauterne, and I take 2 cups of that and I put it in a saucepan together with a vanilla bean. And with the vanilla bean, I take a knife and I slit down the vanilla bean and scrape out the seeds. Put those in, as well as a few slices of fresh ginger, and then also a tablespoon or 2 of honey. And I boil that just for a couple of minutes, let it cool, pour it over the fruit, chill it,
delicious.
and that is so easy. 4 ingredients and you're done. So,
definitely.
and I serve that with biscotti, which is really a nice combination. And another one you can see. I mean, between those two, it's not going to take a long time.
Now, one of your desserts that I thought looked just delicious was the peach ice cream with the crystallized rose petals. Now, Weir, though, and I noticed you had a couple other things that have real flowers.
Edible flowers.
You know, now I put flowers on a cake once because I thought it would just look so pretty, and I washed them off, and my mother just got all frantic on me because she's like, what if they're poisonous? And I'm like, oh, I didn't think about that.
No, that is a really good point that your mother brought up. I do use flowers. In one of the salads, I use some pansies, and you can also use things like lavender, and you can also use nasturtiums. Those are really delicious, and roses, of course. But you always want to use unsprayed flowers. And I still wash them and dry them very, very carefully. But what I did with that one, with the peach ice cream, is I made a fresh peach ice cream, or, you know, if you want to get away with not doing the peach ice cream, you know, buy a nice peach ice cream at your store. And then what you can do is candy them, sugar them. What I do is to take the rose petals and then just brush them with a little bit of egg white and put them in super fine sugar. So they just get coated on the outside, and then let them dry. They're so beautiful as a garnish for that ice cream, especially the different colors. It really looks nice.
Now, where do you, you know, get these flowers? 'Cause I know even I grew my own roses once, and I had to spray them to keep the bugs off. You know,
yes.
it was just
So,
awful.
well, in the grocery store, oftentimes you can find edible flowers, and they'll come in a package, and those are good because they're unsprayed. So I would recommend that. Yes.
Now the quotes, I thought that was interesting on each page, how you had a quote to kind of go with each dish.
Yeah, it was really, we really want to give people the idea of summer. I think summer conjures up, I know, just being here in New England, it was actually for me such an easy series to write just because I grew up here and I remember what the seasons meant. I remember spring, and I grew up in the Connecticut River Valley, and I remember when asparagus came into season and my mother would say, we're living in the asparagus capital of the world. Now living in California, I kind of laugh about that. It was great asparagus, but I don't know if it's the capital of the world. I think we just wait for those ingredients, but summer's one of the ones. We just have such memories. And what we tried to do was really have a series that has the, you know, celebrates not only the vegetables and fruits that come into season, but also the holidays around those, like 4th of July and the barbecue, and, you know, just so that it's really, you know, kind of a celebration.
Right, definitely.
Celebration time.
Now, what about the other books you have out? Now, you said you have a fall one coming out.
Yes.
Can you give us a preview, maybe what's in those?
Yeah, there's some great dishes. I know that I did, there's some ravioli that are made with butternut squash that are really, really delicious. A lot of my food is really inspired by the Mediterranean. I really love those flavors of, you know, like the garlic, the tomatoes, the olive oil. And I also have another book that's out called From Tapas to Meze. You probably know what tapas is. The Spanish first courses. The first courses that come from Spain. Well, meze are the first courses that come from the whole Eastern Mediterranean, like Greece and Syria, Lebanon, Israel. And I don't know, have you ever eaten hummus?
Hummus?
Yes.
I tried it once. I didn't really like it very much.
But
They
anyway,
eat it
from
at
the
work all the
Eastern,
time.
from the Eastern Mediterranean, they make something called meze. And so I wrote a book called From Tapas to Meze. First course is from all around the Mediterranean. So a lot of my food is very seasonal, very fresh, and very much inspired, mostly olive oil cooking. So it's not food that uses much butter. Well, there's a couple of desserts that do, but
well, you know, when it comes to the desserts, you have to
yes, you
give
do.
a little leeway once in a while.
Right.
You can't, especially if you're eating, you know, things as healthy as the cucumber soup and such in the beginning, that you want to treat yourself a little bit. In the end.
I also say to people, you don't have to eat it all. You know, you can kind of moderate. You know, you just have a little bite.
So, why don't you tell us a little bit about some of these places that you've been to teach and
well, I do travel and teach all over the world. I just came back from teaching in Italy, and so that was really fun. I taught 2 weeks, one in northern Italy and one in central Italy, and then I also stayed to do some research off the coast of Turkey. So that was sailing on the coast of Turkey. That was wonderful. I also teach in Australia and New Zealand every single year, and last year was in 52 U.S. cities. I actually taught this year at Cambridge School for Culinary Arts, right here in Cambridge, and so that's really fun. So it really brings me back home again, which is really nice. Get to see my family, and so yeah,
definitely,
that's
that's always good to come home. Okay, and what else was it? Well, no, with this wine, you were telling us about wine.
I wanted to tell you, this
wine makes the meal, I've been told.
I think it's true. I think in summer, I would choose a Sauvignon Blanc to serve with this, which is a nice, crisp white wine. These wines are made by Vichon, and it's actually the family. Robert Mondavi from California has now gone to the south of France, and this is called Vichon Mediterranean, and what they're doing is making wines that they come from the south of France, and they're really great food wines, very good prices, and these wines are delicious. This one's a Sauvignon Blanc, but they also make a delicious Chardonnay and really nice Syrah, and also a Cabernet and a Merlot, but they're really, really great food wines, and I've paired them in the spring book that came out first. I paired every single dish with some of the wines, which was fun because people haven't done that before.
Right.
So anyway, they really work well with the summer foods too.
Excellent. Let's go back for a minute to your childhood, and tell us about the first thing you ever cooked. How old were you?
You know,
what kind of disaster? I know my first cooking was...
Mine was a disaster.
My first couple cookings, I made pancakes once, and I thought it said like 3 tablespoons of salt, and it was 3 teaspoons, and they didn't taste very good. So I've learned since then. But how about yours?
Well, mine, oh God, it's kind of comical. This is what I remember. Maybe I cooked before this, but I'll never forget the time I made oatmeal cookies, and I thought it said a cup and a half of baking powder, and it said a teaspoon and a half. And they spread over the entire pan, and they went down the sides.
Oh, no.
And the worst part was when we had to, and I still said, they'll still be good, and I tasted them. They were so awful. And I remember scraping them into the trash.
Oh, yes,
so,
that is the worst.
Anyway, thanks for bringing that back, Nancy, that memory. Just what I wanted to remember. Really,
what
I want all the viewers to know.
All great chefs have,
we do.
You have to learn from your mistakes.
I know, it's true.
Even now, I know when I'm cooking, I still make mistakes.
Right. You know, it's funny how many of my students say to me, "Oh, I love when you make a mistake, Joanne. It shows us that we're human." And I think, come on, I'm standing here in front of 50 people making this mistake. You know, I don't really like it as much, but if I'm making them comfortable, I guess that's what matters.
What was, okay, so it was your first childhood disaster. Probably the first thing you would say was your success, or your, as a young chef.
Wow, that's a really good question. Well, I probably working, I studied with Madeline Kamen, who I actually studied with her here in Boston, and that was a pretty extraordinary experience for me. I was teaching in Boston, and then I went to study with her, and that was wonderful, and then went to France to study with her, and then after that working at Chez Panisse, which was, for me, I worked there for 2 days trying out to see if I could get hired, and it's a very hard place to get a job. It's really a top American restaurant, and I remember thinking, wow, I looked around at everybody, and everyone was so serious and so focused, and I thought this was the Harvard of restaurants, and it was a dream for me. I ended up staying there for 5 years.
Wow.
So it was pretty amazing experience. I ended up doing pastries. It's funny, my mother does a lot of desserts and a lot of pastries, and I'm a person that doesn't eat them. I mean, I would any day for dessert have a bite of cheese, believe it or not, like the French do. I'd have a bite of cheese first. Desserts don't appeal to me as much, but I'll tell you, my students always say, for somebody who doesn't eat desserts, you make pretty good ones.
Right.
And probably real homey ones. I know in the book I do, there's also a delicious cobbler that I make with peaches and blackberries. And
I saw that. That looked good.
Yeah, and a clafouti, which is a really, have you ever made that?
No.
A clafouti is, it's a pancake, it's like a pancake batter, and you pour it over fruit. You put it all in the blender, and you pour it over the fruit, and you bake it in a dish, and it kind of puffs up. And I make one with figs and raspberries, and it's so good in the summer.
Sounds good.
So there's a real variety of desserts that I make, even though I love desserts, just not ones that are too sweet. So.
Now, would you say you have a special, like, people, if they think of Joanne Weir, they think, because I know people think of me, they think cookies.
Yes. Oh, do they? Oh, that's interesting.
And that's like, I even have that in my email and all.
Right. Oh, that's great.
And people like, oh, you make the best cookies.
So you probably loved my cookie story with the 1.5 cups of baking powder.
Yes, that's a good, like, I made, my first time I made cookies even, I didn't know about creaming. My mom was sick or something. I'm like, all right, I'm just going to throw it all together.
Right.
And then my grandma was like, no, you need to cream
them.
I'm
right.
Oh, okay. Right. And, I learned again. Yeah. So what would you say was your...
I think, and you'll see one in the book, I love pizzas and I love calzones, believe it or not. And I did a summer vegetable calzone that's out of this world in the book. It's got eggplant in it and some cheeses and has a lot of nice fresh herbs. But I love to make pizzas too, and all different kinds. And someone recently wrote about me that I was a dough queen. I thought that was really cute. But I do like to teach I teach a lot of pizza classes and a lot of things that have to do with doughs, like flatbreads and focaccias and calzones. And I mean, people don't even understand that calzone is so easy. It's basically a pizza dough, and all you do is fill it halfway with, put the filling half, fold it over, and you're making a turnover. It's so easy and so perfect for summer too.
Definitely. Do you see a pizza cookbook in the future?
Oh, I don't know. One definitely on Italy. I know that you're Italian, but one on Italy. Actually, I also next year have a cooking series that starts on PBS called Now We're Cooking.
Oh, you were mentioning about that. Yeah, that's good.
So I have that starting next year on PBS. So I'm pretty busy with that.
Right.
So I'm going back to actually do some filming for that.
Now, what? To tell us a little bit about that show, if you can divulge anything.
No, I can't. It's a lot of location, and like one day you might see me in amongst the vines and picking grapes, and the next day what you're going to see is picking grapes and then making a menu all based around grapes, and then the next day you would be with me making olive oil. So it's part location and part in the studio. So it's really to teach people. I mean, how do artichokes grow? What do eggplant look like on the vine? It's funny that so many people don't even know those kind of things. So it's really going to try to teach people as well as get some ideas about cooking in the kitchen.
Right, definitely.
Yeah.
Good. Well, anything else you want to tell us about cooking or your favorite cooking secret?
No, I just want to thank you so much. It's been really fun to talk here about Boston because this morning I was so lucky because I got to go out and take a 1-hour walk through Boston.
Oh,
and I finally had a little bit of time, and I was right by Faneuil Hall, and it was just brought back so many wonderful memories walking through the North End. And
kind of exciting now because they have the farmers market on the weekends. And
I know.
In the morning they're all
it's beautiful.
So the crowds aren't quite there yet, and that's always a good place to. I know a girl I work with goes down there every week and gets her fruits and her vegetables, and she's learned, she's met certain people down there.
Right.
So they don't yell at her like they, I've gone down there and I've been like, okay, don't yell at me, please. I'll buy 3. I know that's $3 for $1. I only want 1, but I'll buy 3.
I remember that so well. I remember it, or you get home and not everything looked as perfect as
that happened to me
thought.
recently. The top one's on the best one's on the top, and they pull from the bottom, and you have to watch them.
Well, it's interesting, I think, also to see all these farmers markets. Like on the cover of the book, I do that tomato salad, and I think it's called the Farmers Market Tomato Salad, and I think all these farmers markets everywhere popping up all over America are pretty exciting. It's great to know that everybody can get all the ingredients now. It used to be, 5 years ago, if you talked about, or 10, heirloom tomatoes, which my grandmother grew, and we never called them heirloom. It's great to see that we can get all of those ingredients right now everywhere. And really, it makes food so much more accessible for people because we've gotten to, we eat out and we travel, and we've really gotten to know what kind of food we really want and what kind of food we want to cook at home. We've kind of gotten spoiled that it's nice now to be able to get all of those ingredients.
That's another thing in your book I liked how there are some things you mentioned even now that I've never heard of. Even like an heirloom tomato, I've never heard of it called that. But I like in the beginning you kind of put a glossary of terms, of different fruits, because there are some things in there that people might not know.
Right.
A couple things I saw, even like the figs, people
You don't.
think fig Newton, and that's
Yeah, I
about
know.
as far
Well, that's
as
because
they
figs,
go.
yeah, they don't grow here.
You know, and
But really, in California, we have so many. That's why I included them. And you know, I just got some yesterday that were so delicious here. But it is what I did in the beginning was told all the ingredients that were really available in the summer. All the so I had all the vegetables and fruits on one page, vegetables on one page, fruits on another page, and all the things that you really are able to find, and then identifying them and telling
that's
people when to
good.
get them. Like when to get a good. How do you pick a melon? I mean, people don't know that. You just smell the end, the stem end, or you press the stem end, and it's got a little indentation or a little bit of a give, and you know then that it's ripe. And you know, just those kind of hints really help people.
Right, you know, 'cause it's fun to see some people I know in the supermarket. They pick up their melons and they
I know they shake them,
them
or they're
and they knock
tapping
on
them. But I think still pressing on that stem end
Okay.
is the best.
Definitely.
I really do.
That's a good.
Yep.
That's a good tip. All right. Well, everything looks just delicious. We'll have to enjoy this after
I
the
know.
show. And again, the book is Summer by Joanne Weir. And thank you very much for coming to
you.
visit us.
Thank you.
And that's all the time we have for today. And thanks for joining us. And remember that no matter what you're cooking, where you're cooking, or who you're cooking with, have fun doing it. We'll see you next time.